Am I the asshole for walking out of a restaurant on my GF? Girlfriend and I were having dinner at a restaurant when she got a text from her best friend, who recently gave birth, and she said, "OMG, she got a C-section." She works as a nurse, so she then explained to me the type of incision they make for that and how it'll leave a scar. I then, as a joke, said, "At least she'll still be tight down there." My girlfriend looked confused and then said that was a weird comment to make about her friend. I then said it is a very normal joke to make and she disagreed. Too long did not read. There was some back and forth. I asked her to drop it and she kept trying to talk about it. I said to her, "You're so insecure," and she then goes, "Does it make you feel good to call me that?" So then I got really frustrated, got up, and walked out of the restaurant and drove home. She called me several times. I drove both of us there, but I was so frustrated and just wanted to get home, so I turned my phone off. She showed up at our apartment 30 minutes later and was really pissed, called me an asshole and overreacted, and that she waited in the cold for 20 minutes for an Uber. Am I the asshole for walking out on her and leaving her there for being frustrated? You are the asshole for the completely unnecessary sexist comment about her friend's vagina and for your lack of understanding about basic biology. Bonus asshole points: calling your girlfriend insecure, having a toddler tantrum and storming off. You are the asshole. A huge misogynistic gross one at that. With a predilection to baby tantrums. I hope your girlfriend dumps you. You made a shitty comment. Got called out on it. Then decided you didn't want to face up to your weird comment and left. You stranded your girlfriend because she wouldn't let you make a shit comment about her friend's vagina. A comment, BTW, that is entirely inaccurate and not funny in the slightest. P.S. Why would she be insecure about a sexist comment you made about her friend's vagina? Am I the asshole for letting my daughter and her husband move in with me so they won't be homeless? This situation is complicated and I'm at my wit's end. I have 2 daughters who are civil to each other but don't get along with each other. My eldest is married to Steve while my youngest is engaged to Adam. Steve and Adam are so different they disliked each other the first time they met. Steve works part-time because he treasures family time with my daughter. They spend their time traveling and exploring different parts of the States. He spends freely because he often say he can't take his money with him when he dies. Adam is an executive and for his side business, he owns several dozen properties. He works about 80 hours a week at both jobs because his philosophy is that he wants to make as much money as possible while he's young so that he can retire early. Steve thinks Adam is a corporate shill and basically blames him for everything that's wrong with society. Steve said that Adam is actively keeping people from buying homes and making them dependent on him. Adam thinks Steve is a slacker and have told Steve people like him who does the bare minimum but expects handouts are what's wrong with society. Neither of them are bad and they treat my daughters well. I retired last year due to my health, so Adam built a house for me so that I can live comfortably. I was able to customize everything in the house to fit my taste. Adam owns the house, pays for all of the utilities, and charges me $1 a month for rent. Part of our deal is that no one else can live in the house but me. He was very clear about this. Steve recently lost his job, so he and my eldest are living off of her single income. As you can imagine, they are struggling. My eldest recently called me crying because their savings are almost gone and they can't make next month's rent. She asked if she and Steve could move in with me until he finds another job. I live on a fixed income, so I don't have money to set them up in another apartment. She's my daughter and I couldn't let her be homeless, so I let Steve and her move in. I gave them strict rules and a time limit on when they had to move out. I didn't think my youngest and Adam would find out because they live in another state, but somehow she found out. She called and screamed at me last night for betraying Adam's trust, but I argued that I'm a mother to 2 daughters and I can't let one be homeless. I told her about the rules and time limit and begged her not to tell Adam. She hung up on me, so I don't know what's going to happen. I know I went back on an agreement, but I had a good reason. Edit. I couldn't add many details in my original post because I was afraid of going over the character limits. Adam pays the taxes and utilities on this house, but because it's the only house he has in this state, he keeps its financials separate from the rest of his properties. Also, he doesn't really have anything to do with the house. Instead, he gave it over to my youngest to take care of, so she handles all of the bills and maintenance and pays them out of an account he set up. She noticed the increased utility cost, which is when she called. We just spoke again and I laid my soul bare to her. I knew I was going back on our agreement, but it was to keep her sister from being homeless. We had a lengthy conversation and in the end, she agreed not to tell Adam. She'll cover the increased utility cost out of her own pocket so he won't notice it. In exchange, her sister and Steve will have 3 months, then we'll have to move out. I originally told them they had 6 months. I'm lucky to have such a compassionate daughter. Thank you for taking the time to read my post. Some of the comments were very hurtful but some were helpful. You made me realize I should have called my youngest at the start and asked. That would have saved a lot of tears. You are the asshole. I'm sorry, but Adam is doing you a favor by letting you live in this house, and he gave you one rule, so he's not taken advantage of, and not only did you break this rule but you did so by allowing the person who insults Adam to live there. Your daughter and her husband want to live by the values they have, fair enough, but they need to be able to have money to back that up. If by Steve losing his part-time job they are in this much trouble, then they didn't have the money to spend freely and go traveling to begin with. Yeah, you have 2 daughters, but at the end of the day the person who owns this house has no obligation to house your adult daughter and her husband, and honestly so if you lose your home because of this then you only have yourself to blame. You are the asshole. You went back on an agreement that you made. Why didn't you call your youngest and tell her the situation instead of going behind their back? Am I the asshole for telling my wife she was causing a scene and not defending her with my mom? I, 42. Have a stepdaughter, Liz, 17. From my wife, Kate, 42, first marriage. Me and Kate also have a daughter, Emma, 3, together. Liz doesn't call me dad and usually refers to me as Mr. my last name. I'll be honest that this bothered me a little, but this is what Liz feels comfortable with, so I never pushed it. We're not close, but we have a good relationship overall, and she loves Emma. We weren't able to get together with my side of the family over Christmas, so my family had a late Christmas, New Year's gathering where my mom gave her Christmas gifts for the grandkids. She got Emma some toys and Liz a sketchpad. She's an artist, so it's not a random gift. Liz and Kate were disappointed, and Kate pulled my mom aside later. I was around to say she shouldn't have given the gifts out in front of everyone, and Liz is hurt. Basically, my mom ended up replying she went out of her way to get Liz a gift as a grandma, when Liz doesn't even consider me any kind of father figure. If they, Liz and Kate, have such an issue with the gifts, they can go ask Liz's real father for a gift. Kate caused a bit of a scene and didn't take that comment well, and said my mom has no respect for them. I tried to calm it down, and I did tell mom she was being a little harsh. I also told Kate she was causing a scene and blowing this up for no reason, and she was the one nitpicking about gifts and mom just responded to her. Kate later got angry with me for saying that and said I should have defended her. It's been a couple of weeks and she's still a little upset with me. I don't think I'm really in the wrong here, and most of my family agree. My brother said I should post on here if this is still causing issues, so am I the asshole? Edited for people asking. Liz's sketchpad was significantly less expensive than the toys and things the other kids got, but it is something she'd use and not a random item. Based off the additional op comments, yeah, you are the asshole, and so is your mother. Liz is 17, and was given a cheap sketchpad that probably isn't even the grade, value she normally uses, whereas everyone else had meaningful, thoughtful gifts. Your mother needs to keep out of you family dynamic with that "ask your real father" bullshit. Obviously there's a reason Liz doesn't. And you can't expect someone you've known for a handful of years to call you dad just because you're with their mother. It sounds like both you and your mom hold resentment against a young adult that is literally just being polite. Edit. Hold up, her father quite literally isn't in the picture because he's dead and your mother still made that remark? And all you said was, "That's harsh." Doubling down on my answer now, WTF. Am I the asshole for yelling at my brother and kicking him out of my house? My 28F brother, 33M. And I have a difficult relationship, all because I started dating his best friend, 34M, 8 years ago, and for him that was an unforgivable betrayal. And I know that to this day he still thinks the same. That's why our relationship is almost non-existent now. I apologized thousands of times for falling in love with his best friend and for not having been able to fall in love with someone else, but he never forgave me. We only see each other at family parties and that's it. He didn't attend our wedding and didn't want to meet our children, 6F, 4F, 2F, when they were born either, so you can imagine how much he hates me. A few days ago we celebrated our mom's, 62F, birthday at my house because hers was being renovated. Well, my mom begged him to come because she is sick and she doesn't know if she will be able to celebrate her birthday with us next year. and he accepted her invitation and went to my house. Of course, since he arrived, he made it clear that he was only there for our mom and that he was not interested in playing happy family with me or my kids. I kept quiet because I wanted my mom to have a good day and ignored him. After cutting the cake, my mom opened her gifts, and one of those gifts was an album of the most important moments of all her children and grandchildren, something that for some reason she asked for a few months ago. And she was so happy with the album that she started looking at all the photos and showing them to the guests while remembering when she took each photo of us, her children. In that album there were photos of my brother with my husband at their high school graduation. My husband was included because he and my brother have been friends since they were babies, so he is like another son to her. And when my brother saw them he said something like, "What a nice picture. No one would suspect that you would fuck my little sister." A few years later, my sister, 31F, told him to shut up, that he was being rude, but he didn't stop and kept looking at the photos to say things that nobody wanted to hear. So I got tired and asked him to leave my house. I told him that he was being rude and inconsiderate with our mother, that I didn't want him there. And of course he stormed off, and now he thinks that the villain of the movie is me. And the worst thing is that one of our sisters, 36F, thinks the same thing, because she thinks that I should have kept quiet since it's my fault that he's like that. Am I the asshole? Edit. I don't know if my brother is gay, but the truth is that I suspected it many times when I saw how affectionate he was with my husband. Like, my husband had a few girlfriends before me and my brother hated all of them, but I thought it was just jealousy because he didn't spend as much time with him. But if I think about it, it does look weird. He's in his 30s and he only had a girlfriend when he was 12 or 13. He was always possessive of my husband and overly affectionate, which my husband always hated. So maybe it's true. Maybe that's why he hates me and my kids, and maybe that's why I unconsciously apologized to him, because deep down I knew he was in love with him too. IDK. Edit 2. I spoke to my husband and he says that nothing ever happened between them, that they were just friends, that he is straight and that my brother always knew it, that he never did or said anything to make him think otherwise, so I don't know what's wrong with him. I just know that I feel enormous guilt. If he's in love with him I'll never be able to feel at peace again. Not the asshole. Is your brother in love with his former best friend? In Ta. Was he in love with your husband? Not the asshole. It's so strange. Was he in love with your husband? Did he think you needed to ask permission? Not the asshole. Either your brother is one of the pettiest, most infantile people I've ever heard of, or he was in love with your husband and he's just pretending it's about you. I'm petty as hell and I can't imagine holding something against someone for so long and hurting my terminally ill mother just to win petty points. What an absolute flog your brother is.